Okay, everybody, hold up your cell phones, switch off the ringer, turn on the video. I want to see 37 versions of this show on YouTube tomorrow. I was working online, I was talking on Bluetooth, downloading songs, checking email and Yahoo, texting my friends, I twittered 20 new tweets. On Facebook my brain began to overheat. My new tablet's high-def digital camera wouldn't sync up with my printer fax scanner. The tech support guy started yakking away, lost in translation all the way from Bombay. I had to break out of this techno mood. I needed something primal, like a big hunk of food. For a nano moment, I forgot where it is, so I Googled directions from my den to my fridge. I was so fried, I wondered how much bandwidth it would take for my iPod to download a sandwich. And deep in my hard drive, a feeling took root. My brain just might crash if I didn't reboot. All this hyper technology is streaming me crazy. I've picked up a virus called cyberspacey. The neurotransmitters in my cerebellum making gray matter chatter, but nothing is gelling. These gizmos and gigabytes are geeking me out. Single tasking is obsolete now. I need to slow down. My life is a blur. Got an analog brain in a digital world. I jumped in my hybrid, turned on satellite radio, strapped on my hands-free and fired up my cell phone. Almost backed over my wife on her Segway. The dashboard lit up, said I was low on latte. Where was Starbucks? I could only guess. My PDA can't do GPS. I stopped for directions and wandered in here and wound up singing to you. Isn't that weird? All this hyper technology is starting to pile up. Planets on broadband, my head's on dial-up. Reality is virtually cluttered. My neural connections are starting to sputter. These gizmos and gigabytes are geeking me out. Single tasking is obsolete now. I need to slow down. My life is a blur. Got an analog brain in a digital world. Thank you. Hey, I'm not making this up. There was a study in England that showed that multitasking lowers your IQ more than smoking dope. Yeah, that's what it said. I've always thought they probably didn't have any trouble finding volunteers for that one. Anyway, it turns out that multitasking is sort of the new darling of scientific studies. Because so many people are multitasking now, digitally especially, doctors and scientists want to know what's going on in the body and what's going on in the brain when we're doing this. So there's a couple dozen studies I've read about. There was one right here in Michigan, over in Ann Arbor, University of Michigan, that showed that multitasking decreases your efficiency from between 20 to 40%. There's another one that, done by a medical group that show that multitasking raises the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, so it tends to become addictive. Lots more I could tell you about. My favorite one was at Harvard. And if you have a smartphone, you could have participated in this study, because what you did is, if you had a smartphone and you can get email on your smartphone, then you signed up with the group at Harvard, and every day after you signed up, I think it was for about a year, the head scientist at Harvard would email you on your phone several times a day, multiple times a day, with two questions. What are you doing right now, and how happy are you? So fascinating. He was on NPR, maybe you heard him, and he said they learned all this great stuff, but mainly what they learned is that the people that were way up high on the happy meter were doing one thing. And whatever they were doing, they were totally absorbed in it. Actually, so the people at the very, very, very top of the happy meter were in the bedroom doing one thing, specific thing, and not texting while they were doing it. And the people at the bottom of the happy meter, whatever they were doing was multiple things. So they were juggling tasks or switching screens or whatever. So it seems obvious, at least to me, it seems obvious from all these studies, that these brains we have, these marvels of evolution that we have up here in our heads, after all this time, still not only work better doing one thing at a time, but are happier one thing at a time. So, is everybody happy? Anybody not completely here? Good, good. So now you know the meaning of this phrase. See, analog brain in a digital world. It's not about people like me that are kind of slow technologically. It's about honoring and claiming the fact that, you know what, my brain gets more done and has more fun one thing at a time. It's kind of Zen, don't you think? I mean, the lamas teach this. They know this. I mean, you know, monks, not pack animals. Call the llamas. I saw little Buddha in the checkout line in the grocery store today. Call the llamas. He was sitting like a prince in his grocery cart with a perfect smile on his face. His mom and dad preoccupied with paying for their food. They could not see him smile at me with calm beatitude. Call the llama. I saw little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store today. Call the llama. He was sitting like a prince in his grocery cart with a perfect smile on his face. And here's the chorus. Om. Say Om. Om. Then suddenly in front of me I saw three little girls, their mother bagging groceries while around her feet they swirled. Their peals of laughter silenced as they all looked up to see little Buddha smiling at them beatifically. He leaned down toward them, holding all them in a state of bliss. And one by one they each received his transcendental kiss. Call the llamas. I saw little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store today. Call the llama. He was sitting like a prince in his grocery cart with a perfect smile on his face. Here we go. Oh, say oh. Oh, come on, louder. Call the llama. Saw little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store. Thank you. That was good. Good homing. Now, that's for all of you that have a little Buddha somewhere in your lives, or a little Buddhette. You know, it's always magical. I was just drove up here today. I was down south last night in a little town called Watervliet. How many of you know Watervliet? Yeah, so I was driving up here from Watervliet. And I, speaking of being a little Buddha, you know, back when I was a little Buddha, actually a little bit older than that, probably about 8, we took a family vacation. I live in Kansas City. That's where I grew up. And somehow my dad got it into his head that we needed to take a family vacation to Grand Haven, Michigan. And I remember him telling us about this. I'm thinking, okay, how far is that? Oh, it's about 2 days in the car. Dad, you know, come on. So we drove all the way up here, and it turned out to be a lot of fun because there were like waves. I'd never seen waves before, and we could kind of body surf and stuff. And anyway, we had a really good time. But I was just sort of cracking up driving up here today because I took the back roads, and one of the first towns I went through was this little town called Covert. Covert. I stopped for gas and I said, "That's a funny name for a town." He says, "No, we don't. It's not here. The town's not really here. It's imaginary." I said, "Well, you should have a sign out front of the town that says Covert, the town that doesn't exist." And then just after that, I went through another town called Ganges. Ganges, yeah. I was like, they should have a sign out front that says, "You can pray here. Leave all your prayers with us here at the Ganges." Anyway, it was kind of a fun drive, and coming through Grand Haven again, you know, all those years later, all those decades later. Anyway, I'm thrilled to be here in Michigan. It's 15 degrees cooler than Kansas City, so really happy to be here. Really happy that you're here tonight. Thank you for coming out. We're going to take a little musical journey through life. I have some ideas where we're going to go, but we may take some detours. I think mainly what we're going to do is have some fun with some of the places we tend to stumble or trip up a little bit, but we'll see. How many of you have never seen me before? Everybody, okay. That's about average. All right. Well, I really am glad to be here. I really am glad that you're here. Now, back to little kids, little Buddhas and Buddhettes. I don't actually have any of my own. But I do have a dog. And I'm very happy to say that I'm very grateful to say that I'm being hosted by Bill and Kathy, who have 2 dogs. So this song is for you guys. Well, my dog she's a fantastic little dog, but she was actually a former street dog, just living on the street. Just showed up one day and refused to leave, like a lot of my former girlfriends. And because she was a street dog, she was really part wild animal, like a lot of my former girlfriends. Because she's a young dog, she prefers hard physical play combined with biting. Don't get ahead of me now. I like to be the man my dog thinks I am. I know I'd go to heaven if I could be that good. So I'm trying to act like I know my dog thinks I should. You know, the later I come home, the happier she is to see me. And I don't have to buy chocolates or flowers or jewelry. But she likes it when my crazy buddies come over. Yeah, the more I learn about life, the more I love her, I'd like to be the man my dog thinks I am. She don't spend hours in the bathroom cluttering up my sink. In fact, she only comes in there for a quick little drink. And she likes petting in public, and her cousins don't visit. And if she's got a problem, you can bet she'll lick it. I'd like to be the man my dog thinks I am. I know I'd go to heaven if I could be that good. So I'm trying to act like I know my dog thinks I should. I don't have to call home every time I'm running late. She thinks all my jokes are funny and that I sing great. And you know, dogs don't want to stop and improve the relationship. And dogs like it when you leave stuff laying around on the floor. And you don't have to wait a dog to get ready. She's ready to go when you are. So, the spiritual difference between cats and dogs, if you never heard this, it's like this. It's very simple. Dogs see the people give them food and water and love, and they don't have to do anything. And they think, these people are giving me food and water and love, and I don't have to do anything. They must be gods. Cats see the people give them food and water and love, and they don't have to do anything. They think, I must be a god. Well, these two guys are walking their dogs down the street. One's got a Doberman, the other one's got a Chihuahua. And the guy with the Doberman says, hey, you know what? It's hot out here. Let's go in this bar and get a drink. And the guy with the Chihuahua says, we can't go in there. We have dogs. They won't let us in there. And the guy with the Doberman says, well, we'll just tell them there are seeing eye dogs and they have to let us in. And he walks in. And the bartender sees him. He says, hey, get out of here with that dog. You can't bring a dog in here. The guy says, no, it's my seeing eye dog. The bartender says, yeah, right, a Doberman. And he says, that's right. They found out they're really good at this. They're really smart. And that's what they're using now. The bartender says, oh, all right. So the guy with the Chihuahua walks in. The bartender sees him. He says, hey, get out of here with that dog. You can't bring that dog in here. And the guy says, no, this is my seeing eye dog. The bartender says, yeah, right, a Chihuahua. The guy says, what? They gave me a Chihuahua? Such a silly joke. I really love it. Anyway, my little dog, she's really she's a very, very funny dog. She cracks me up every day. She's just so quirky. Like one example is she loves to sleep on the couch. If I'm on one end of the couch, she likes to sleep at the other end. But she's a really restless sleeper. So she's constantly moving in her sleep into these weird yogi pretzel positions. You know, you just look over at her and you think, how can you sleep like that? You know, she's tied up in kind of a knot. And sometimes she moves around in her sleep so much that she rolls off the couch and lands on the floor with this big thud. And whenever she does that, she just lies there and doesn't move. And I think it's because she's embarrassed. I think she thinks if she doesn't move, that I won't notice that she just rolled off the couch. You know what? Only a few of my former girlfriends ever did that. I'd like to be the man my dog thinks I am. Robert Heinlein, remember him? Great science fiction writer. Has a quote that I really like. He says, women and cats will do as they please. And men and dogs should relax and get over it. So, this is a song about women, and it's for women, And I think of it as kind of a love song. But honestly, I was afraid to write it for a long time. I had this idea floating around in my head for a long time, and I didn't know if it was okay for a guy to sing this. So years went by, and I finally just thought, this is crazy. You know, maybe I just need to talk to a woman about it. So I went to a friend of mine. You might know her work. Her name's Karen Taylor Good. She's a wonderful singer, songwriter, fun gal, great singer and performer. Anyway, I said, Karen, so here's this idea. What do you think? If I write this, is it okay for me to sing it? What do you think? Can a guy sing this? And she said, I don't know. But if I write it with you, you'll be safe. So, great. So we wrote it together. So now I feel like, I have permission. So this is called Skin, S-K-I-N, Skin. And you actually have a part, very, very simple part. So this is the lick that goes through the song. Right in the middle of that lick, this is what you do. Skin. Skin. It's a loud whisper. Come on. Skin. Yeah, pretty good. Now passion. Here we go. Skin. All right, one more. Nice and loud. Skin. All right. Whenever we come back to this lick, I'm going to cue you. And I need a nice, loud skin. I want to talk about you, darling, and skin. You know I love to look at you and touch the skin you're in. All your lotions and potions, I really am impressed. But here's a little something that I need to confess. Here we go. Skin. You don't ever have to make your face up for me. I'm hooked on the look you got naturally. I know it's kind of fun to get all glamored up, but don't buy the story that you need it for love. You read it in the magazines, you see it on TV. Sold a phony notion that you're only skin deep, but you don't have to color it, tighten it, or thin it. Oh, what really turns me on is that you're comfortable in it. Skin. Some of your friends, I think they've really flipped their wig. They shoot poison in their brow and puff their lips up big. They suck the fat from underneath, the doctors cut and lifted, and try to rearrange the skin that gravity has shifted. Well, think of all the time wasted and money spent trying to ignite a spark when in the end you don't have to color it, stretch it, or thin it. Oh, what really turns me on is that you're comfortable in it. You're never quite as gorgeous as when you don't hide. Show me what you know is beautiful inside. The power of attraction is multiplied by 10. I love it when we're real and nothing is pretend. There's nothing to make up for, you're fabulous enough. And I love kissing you without that sticky lip stuff. You don't have to color it, stretch it, or thin it. Oh, what really turns me on is that you're comfortable in it. Skin. Come on, here we go. Skin. What really turns me on is that you're comfortable in it. Good job. Good work. All right, thank you. What I really hope is that some country guy, some big country artist would record that. Somebody with daughters would be great. So love, love is, of course, the favorite topic of all time for songs. There's a great songwriter, American songwriter named Sammy Cahn, who's written a lot of standards that you've heard of. And Sammy Cahn once said, there are only 3 themes for any love song: love desired, love discovered, and love departed. Well, then, we have other kinds of love. I'm not going to go into that. I went to a conference on science and consciousness, and there was a doctor there, a scientist, giving a talk on love energy. And he was telling us that he felt like love energy was the most powerful energy in the universe, and he had all these examples on his board that he was listing for us. The only one I remember now is he said, think about falling in love. Think about what that feels like to fall in love. He said, it's really an amazing feeling. When you're falling in love, it's like you're high all day long. You're happy all day long because your endorphins are flowing. Whatever that was, serotonin, all those things in your brain, they're flowing. You feel great. So you're kind of walking on air. Your head's in the clouds. You're optimistic. You're positive. You have more energy. You feel stronger. People seem nicer. You feel nicer. Everything seems to work better because you're falling in love. He said, really? It's the best drug there is. And I thought, yep, it's a great drug. But they never tell you about the side effects. So that's where this came from. You suffer from common loneliness, like something in your life is missing. There's a drug you've probably heard of, natural high called kissing. Kissing every day melts your blues away. Sudden lift in mood. The more you kiss, the greater your bliss. Common side effects include sweaty palms, heavy breathing, goosebumps, damp knickers, foolish remarks, baby talk, chapped lips, self-help books, phone calls at midnight, flower shops, sudden trips to the drugstore, insomnia, chocolate. You need something stronger. Kissing's not powerful enough. There's a riskier remedy. Its generic name is making love. The potency of this drug is awesome, like cruising at a higher altitude. Burns more calories than a 10K run. Common side effects include emotional attachment, fear of commitment, euphoria, panting, spontaneous screaming, new toys, strange pills, endorphin overload, loss of bodily control, frequent contact with latex, addiction, babies. Love making, but still lonely. Don't be quick to disparage. You just need a lifetime dose, sacred drug called marriage. Being someone else's universe will change your attitude. But you'll need a legal prescription, because common side effects include in-laws, therapy, credit card debt, meatloaf, Tupperware parties, riding mowers, Saturdays at Home Depot, practical birthday presents, holidays with strange relatives, enlargement of butt or belly, teenagers. If these side effects become too much, some choose a different drug, of course. To counteract all these results, they take strong medicine, divorce. The danger with this drug is that you'll start a family feud that's crude and lewd and comes unglued and leaves you feeling screwed and waiting to be sued. Optimism skewed, tendency to brew. Common effects include despair, euphoria, despair, euphoria, despair, euphoria. Personal growth, custody battles, lunch with lawyers, itemization of personal idiosyncrasies, freedom, loneliness, freedom, loneliness, freedom, loneliness. You suffer from common loneliness, like something in your life is missing. There's a drug, it's everywhere, it's natural, it's kissing. Do, 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 do. Thank you. That song won an award in the Just Plain Folks Music Awards. It's like the Grammys for people you never heard of. Yeah, it actually is kind of a big deal. There were 140,000 songs entered that particular year, and so that song came in first in the humor category. It was kind of fun. It's not that I got a kiss and a hug from Beyonce or anything. That didn't happen. I got a little plaque for my kitchen. Anyway, so Linda Berry, the cartoonist, you might know her work, she says that love is an exploding cigar we willingly smoke. Well, of course, we're going to smoke that cigar, because what's better than love? But I don't think that the cigar has to explode as often as it does. And I think one of the reasons it does is because we get so much bad training, so much unfortunate cultural modeling about relationships, about how they're supposed to work and what they're really supposed to be for. So the example I like to use is music to demonstrate this, because that's what I know best. So I don't know if you've thought about it, but I'm 99% sure that everybody here grew up listening to what I call radio station WVLS, whiny victim love songs. And by the time we get to adulthood, we've heard so many, especially by the time we get to middle age, we've heard so many of these songs that they have infected us in ways we don't really know the scope of. So I'm going to show that to you. But first, I just want to clarify something. I'm not talking about the beautiful love songs. Obviously, there are many beautiful, empowering, uplifting, positive love songs. And we know lots of those. We all have our favorites. I'm not even talking about sad songs. Sad songs that say, you're gone and I miss you. That's fine. I mean, you lose somebody, it hurts. You have to grieve. And a song that says, you're gone, you're not here anymore, and I'm sad, that's cool. What I'm talking about is songs that go way past that into the realm of total sickness and ask for pain in return for love. And there are thousands of them. So, as a public service, I've been collecting them. And I have this list called the top 10 whiny victim love songs. It's hard to get this down to 10, but I'm going to give you some favorites so you can see what I mean. And we're going to start with a recent hit by a group called the Cardigans. So I just want you to listen to this one verse and try to imagine yourself actually saying this to another human being. So I cry and I plead and I beg, oh, love me, just say you love me, fool me, go on and fool me, love me, pretend you love me, leave me, just say you need me. Now, is it just me, or is that relationship getting off to a rocky start? I just don't have a lot of hope for that relationship. Okay, here's one by Elvis. Everybody knows Elvis. Treat me like a fool, treat me cruel, but love me. Break my faithful heart, tear it all apart, but love me. So kind of a mixed message there. Country, always a gold mine. You must think I look bad with a smile, for you haven't let me wear one in quite a while. Still I keep coming back. How can this be? Don't you ever ever get tired of hurting me. Well, that's an old country song. Here's a new one. This was a hit just 2 years ago. If you gotta be somebody's heartbreak, if you gotta be somebody's mistake, be mine. Happy Valentine's Day. Okay, then there's a subcategory I like to call the death songs, because there's so many of these, and they all say the same thing. Can't live if living is without you. Everybody can't live. I can't live anymore. You see how easy that was? They're in there. They're not going away. And there's newer songs that take this down even lower. How can I live without you? I want to know. How can I breathe without you if you ever go? So if you leave, I quit breathing. No pressure. All right, here's one of my favorite all-time lines in a song. When a man loves a woman, sleep out in the rain. If she says that's the way it ought to be. No, that's not happening. Sorry. Another huge country hit. Oh, I wish that I could hurt that way again. At least I had you every now and then. At times you would desert me. How the emptiness would hurt me. But your coming back is always worth the pain. Oh, wish that I could hurt that way again. I mean, how do you even sing that with a straight face? It's so sick. I mean, sometimes you hear one that has humor written into it, and you know that awareness is kind of bubbling up there. Put another log on the fire. Cook me up some bacon and some beans. And go out to the car and change the tire. Darn my socks and sew my old blue jeans. Come on, baby, fill my pipe and then go fetch my slippers. Boil me up another pot of tea. Put another log on the fire, babe. Come and tell me why you're leaving me. Sometimes all you need is the titles. I also collect titles, and I have hundreds, maybe thousands of song titles of real, actual songs. Like, she was pure as the new fallen snow, but she drifted. I still hold her body, but I think I've lost her mind. My wife ran off with my best friend, and I sure do miss him. If you won't leave me, I'll find someone who will. Oh, this is probably my favorite. I'm so miserable without you, it's like you were here. Real songs. And the thing is, we could do this the whole rest of the night, probably till midnight before we ran out of material. That's how many there are. But I already know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Greg, you're right. There's a lot of sick songs floating around out there, Greg, and now that you pointed out, I'm kind of tired of listening to them. I'm kind of tired of polluting my brain and depressing my immune system with those negative, whiny victim messages. You know, Greg, I would like some music that lifts me up, helps me to rise and fly, and fills me with love and laughter and hope and inspiration. Greg, that's the kind of music I need in my life. But Greg, where can I find music like that? Friends, right up here on this little table. Not one, not two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, but 9 CDs full of music that will uplift, amuse, inspire, and entertain you and your family for decades to come. I know what you're thinking. Greg, 9 CDs? That's amazing. But Greg, which one should I get? Friends, that is limited thinking. And because I don't want you to waste your mental energy on a decision like that, friends, I have worked it out. I have worked it out. So the more CDs you get, the more you save. And if you can't decide and you want to take home the whole collection, the discount is not only unbelievable, you get a free copy of my book, Attila the Gate Agent. Travel Tales and Life Lessons from a Musical Laphologist. I know what you're thinking. Greg, that is an amazing offer. And I would like to get a set of your CDs, maybe one more for my kids. Now that I think about it, Christmas is right around the corner. But Greg, I just have one question. Did you bring enough for everybody? Or am I going to have to fight for them? Okay, so that's enough of that. I do have 9 CDs up here. 7 of them are mine. And mine are all different. There's no overlap. Every CD is different. About half the songs are funny, and about half the songs are pretty. And the titles are on the back of all the CDs, so you can look. Then I have 2 CDs from the Empower Positive Music Awards. Every year we have a big festival in Florida. Currently it's in Florida. Every winter. And all year long, songs in all these positive categories are submitted, are entered into this contest. It's like the Grammys, kind of for positive music. And then they go through all these rounds of judging and filtering, and then we come out with the top 3 songs in each category. I think there's 6, maybe 7 categories. And those are the finalists. Those are the nominees. And that's the CD. The 7 winners come from these songs. But all the nominees are on the CD. So these 2 CDs that I have are compilation CDs of fantastic songs, really good artists, all different kinds of genre, but they're all in one or more positive categories. So you might want to take a look at those. I have 1 song on each of those. Then my book, I just mentioned my book. It's true stories. They're short. They're usually 3, 4, 5 pages. They're almost all from the road. They're almost all humorous. There's a couple that aren't. But they all have some sort of aha moment where the light comes on or something cool happens. Anyway, you can look at it. It's got some nice reviews on the back from people you probably heard of. And then finally, I have a limited number of Analog Brain in a Digital World t-shirts. Well, here's the deal about the t-shirts. I did this as kind of a lark. I never had t-shirts before, but when I came out with this Analog Brain in a Digital World comedy CD, I thought, that might work on a t-shirt. So I had some printed up, and it does work. I wear these shirts. I wear this shirt around, and people read it, and they say funny things. I wore it into the Apple store last fall. The guy at the front, the greeter, with the iPad, the guy that greets you, he saw my shirt and he started laughing. He said, wow, we need 30 of those shirts. Everybody in here needs that. And then we start talking about what it means, and it was really fun. So they're fun to wear. However, what I've learned is that T-shirts are really a hassle. They're a lot of work. They're expensive, so you have to get them in small quantities. And then when they show up, unlike books and CDs, you have to inspect every shirt because some of them have snags or flaws. Some of them the printing's off. There's always a few that have to go back. Then you have to take the ones that are good. You have to fold them just right so nothing happens. Take care of them. A lot more work than books and CDs. So the point is, I don't know how long I'm going to be in the T-shirt business. So when it comes to the T-shirts, you might want to be thinking collector's item on that. Okay. And last thing is I have an email newsletter. Like a lot of people, I have an email newsletter. It's not regular. It's not monthly. It's just whenever I have something to share. Sometimes I'll send a humor article. Sometimes I'll let you know if I'm coming back to Michigan or if I have a new CD, new book, and all kinds of things. And then once a year, I usually host a tour. We go somewhere fun in the world with a bunch of spiritual people. Last year, we went to New Zealand. The year before that, we went to Tanzania, did a safari. Looks like the next one's going to be a cruise in the Adriatic Sea, Greece, and Croatia. So if you're interested in finding out about those trips, it's a small number of people. It's a very cohesive group because we all come from this same spiritual background, so there's no whining. It's a lot of fun. So if that floats your boat, pun intended, you might want to sign up for the newsletter. The thing is, if you sign up for the newsletter, the catch is I have to actually be able to read your writing. So just print clearly. Anyway, that's the commercial. Thanks for listening. How are we doing so far? Okay? Keep going? Okay. So I wanted to finish up this whole relationship segment with one more song that came from a conversation I had with a good friend of mine, Bobby Nathan, who he's passed on now, but for years and years I would stay with Bobby Nathan in South Florida. When I was touring South Florida, I would always stay with Bobby because he had a nice home, and we were friends, and Bobby could talk about anything with some experience, and so we would talk about sports and politics and religion and relationships and women, everything you can think of we would talk about. And Bobby had been married and divorced twice. So we were talking about this one day. Bobby was saying that a successful marriage was hard for him. He hadn't been able to figure it out. And I said, well, Bob, don't beat yourself up. It's hard for a lot of people. He said, hell yeah, it's hard. Not even Jesus did it. I said, wait a minute, Bob, while I write that down. And I made a note, Okay, so there's a song. So this is called Jesus Was a Bachelor. And I'll just tell you right up front that this song probably doesn't go where you think it's going to go. The man I most admire spread love throughout his world. The man I most admire was not out chasing girls. He looked around, saw the deal, said, I can't do this. I'm gonna get my 12 best buds, go drink wine and fish. Jesus was a bachelor, and so was Buddha too. Could it be that they knew something more than me and you? Buddha cut the ties that bind and headed for nirvana. Women tried to marry Jesus, but he said, I don't wanna. Relationships take lots of time and compromise at best. Maybe all the saints knew they could never pass that test. Take Mother Teresa, do good works instead. They say nuns all married Jesus, but, well, he's dead. Jesus was a bachelor, and so was Buddha too. Could it be that they knew something more than me and you? Buddha chose enlightenment over married life. Jesus couldn't save mankind and satisfy a wife. So if all of your friends are saying I do and you just won't, take comfort in the fact that even Jesus said I don't. If you want to set your sights on more ethereal worlds, don't let your lower chakras chase material boys and girls. Jesus was a bachelor and so was Buddha too. Could it be that they knew something more than me and you? Buddha left his family for much less worldly pastures. Jesus was too busy getting ready for the rapture. Well, some folks now dispute this thought that Jesus was unwed. A rabbi single in those days, there is no way they've said. Well, as for me, I think the way of partnering is best, 'cause I'd like to be enlightened and still be having. Jesus was a bachelor, well, maybe, maybe not. Maybe he was married and that church in Rome forgot. Some say Mary Magdalene was wife and apostle. I don't know what you think, but I say, hey, it's possible. There's one more possibility we should not overlook. Maybe there's another way that Jesus was mistook. I know what I'm suggesting is not what some want to hear, but if it troubles you, then it's not love you feel but fear. If Jesus was a bachelor, then maybe he was gay. That would be quite frightening for some Christians today. They'd like to ban gay marriage, but the Bible's been misconstrued. What kind of Christianity judges and excludes? Okay, good. Everybody's still here. Every once in a while we lose people on that one. So this song is a true story told to me by the guy in the song, Captain Gary. His name was Captain Gary Elston. I met him at a concert in Key West. He was a marine biologist and a boat captain. And he had developed this business where he took people out into the open ocean to have these encounters with wild dolphins. Went swim with them for a week. And he asked me to, if I want to go, be his guest. And so I said, sure, fantastic. On the way out there in the boat, it's about an hour to where the dolphins usually hang out. And for that whole hour, he was just telling me stories. And every story was fantastic. But when he got to this one, I just felt like this had to be a song. So it's the way he told it. I haven't changed anything. The only thing I did was add a chorus and make it rhyme. Otherwise, it's the same. And this is very late for me to be asking this, but how's the sound? Can you hear okay? Okay. All right. So here we go. Captain Gary takes folks on the dolphin cruise, right up close, swimming in the sea. 15 years, this same pod, they know him well. And Gary knows exactly where they'll be. A mother came aboard with her teenage children, 2 sons, a daughter, sullen and depressed. For 2 whole days the dolphins danced around the boat, but these kids just sat and looked down at the dead. And who knows what wisdom grows down below the sea? Why do great brains evolve with no puzzles to solve and no need for strategy? Finally, on the 3rd day, the kids went in to swim. The dolphins gathered round them 40 strong. A group of them took the 2 boys out away, and Gary'd never seen them stay that long. A mother dolphin and her baby chose a little sister and played with her for half an hour or more. And when the kids came back, something had shifted. They weren't as unhappy as before. The next day and the next were more remarkable. The dolphins were there waiting to be greeted, and all day long they kept the kids engaged and seemed to know just what these children needed. And who knows what wisdom grows down below the sea? We can't hide what we feel inside. They can see through you and me. By the end of the week, the change was startling. Kids were laughing, happy, the best of friends. Their mother said, this family of dolphins has given me my family back again. And Gary said to her, and he too felt transformed, the most amazing week he'd ever had. The mother said, I did not want to tell you this before, but 2 months ago my children lost their dad. Who knows what wisdom grows down below the sea? Maybe they know and they're trying to show us we're all one family. Somebody sent me this the other day. It says, if you can start the day without caffeine, if you can always be cheerful, ignoring aches and pains, if you can resist complaining and boring people with your troubles, if you can eat the same food every day and be grateful for it, if you can understand when your loved ones are too busy to give you any time, If you can overlook it when those you love take it out on you when through no fault of yours something goes wrong, if you can take criticism and blame without resentment, if you can ignore a friend's limited education and never correct him, if you can resist treating a rich friend better than a poor friend, if you can face the world without lies and deceit, if you can say honestly that deep in your heart you have no prejudice against creed, color, religion, or politics, then, my friend, you're almost as good as your dog. So, you know I'm a dog lover. I'm also a cat lover. How many cat lovers do we have here? Cat lovers. Oh, good. Okay, lots of cats. All right. So I don't currently have a cat. I have had cats. My last cat was named Quits. Said if I ever got another cat, I was going to call it Quits and call it Quits. And he was a good cat. He lived a long time. He was a pretty happy cat, a lot of fun. And he's gone now. But I got another friend in Florida named Harold. Harold's a college buddy. He's a lawyer. And Harold is a collector. He collects guitars, watches, artwork, and cats. I don't know what the legal limit is in Florida for cats. I just know he's way past it. So he's got usually at any one time, he's got 3 or 4 indoor cats. And then in the backyard, there's this fleet of backup cats that just flow in and out of the backyard. And they've never been counted, but there's usually a dozen or 15 or whatever. And they seem to get along fine. He feeds everybody, takes care of them, so it works. Anyway, for a long time, the main indoor cat was this big gray tabby named Winston. Winston was a fairly normal cat, if you can use those 2 words together, except for one quirky, bizarre, freakish quality. He was obsessed to the point of fixation on the refrigerator. So that whenever you got up to go to the refrigerator, Winston knew it. That was his gift. And before you got there, he would be sitting in front of the fridge waiting for the door to open. And as soon as the door opened, he was on his back legs with his front legs and his head in the bottom of the fridge. Just doing this. Just making sure everything in here is dead. And the thing about it wasn't occasionally, it was every time. He had to know what was in the bottom of that fridge, even if he'd just been there 10 minutes ago. So you, after a while, you forget that he's down there. So Harold was at the fridge. This was a while back. Harold had to go to the fridge for something, and while he had the door open, he decided to clean it or rearrange something. Anyway, the door was open for a while instead of just a minute. And Winston obviously thought, well, hey, this is a great time to, go all the way in and see what's going on back there. And he climbed all the way in the fridge, and Harold didn't see him. So Harold eventually shuts the door, leaving Winston in cold storage, and walks away. And so this could have been horrible, could have been awful for Winston. But it turned out that Harold miraculously had to come back and get something else about 10 minutes later. Well, what I love about this story is the way Harold puts it. He says, there is no experience in life that prepares you for opening the refrigerator door and seeing something move. So I feel like at the very minimum I would have a screaming fit, possibly a heart attack, something like that happened. Anyway, we all know you can't control a cat. And sometimes you can't even control a song with a cat in it. This is called Railroad Bill. Railroad Bill, he was a hard-living man. He used to take his women 2 at a time. And everyone agreed he was the baddest engineer that ever driven down the Santa Fe line. His name was known from the folks back home to the tippy-top of Telegraph Hill. And all the little boys, when they were sneaking cigarettes, used to dream about Railroad Bill. Now one day Bill was walking along and he saw a kitten stuck in a tree. When he saw what's the matter, he ran to get a ladder to set that kitty cat free. And Bill said, no, ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna climb up no tree. This is a stupid song and no folk singer's gonna make a fool out of me. I said one day Bill was walking along and he saw a kitten stuck in a tree. When he saw what's the matter, he ran to get a ladder to set that kitty cat free. And Bill said, no, ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna do what you said. This is a stupid, stupid song, and as far as I'm concerned, that cat can stay there till it's dead. I said, wait a minute, Bill, you can't argue with me. For God's sakes, I just made you up. I got the pen in my hand. I want you up in that tree, and I want that cat unstuck. And Bill said, no, I hate cats. Ain't gonna climb for no cat. Why don't you have me save some beautiful girl who's tied on a railroad track? I said maybe there'll be room in the 8th or 9th verse, but right now I want you up in that tree. I'm the writer, man. I got the pen in my hand, and you're supposed to listen to me. He said, you slime ball. Why should I listen to you? You should be listening to me instead. I'm a railroad man, and if I was real, I'd separate your face from your head. You ungrateful brute, I cried, you pushed me too far. I gotta show you I can do as I please. So an earthquake came and it shook the whole terrain and it brought Railroad Bill to his knees. Then a tidal wave broke and everything got soaked and Bill was almost completely washed away. Then a big green monster from the planet Neptune landed and bit Railroad Bill on the leg. I got the pen in my hand. I can do what I want. I'm a bright new young talent on the rise. So get your butt up that tree or I swear you ain't gonna get out of my folk song alive. He said, you don't scare me. You might be funny, but you don't scare me. If you don't leave me alone, I'm gonna tell everyone where you stole this melody. But before he could speak, his tongue fell out. And he could not make a sound. Then he jumped on top of me and he grabbed me by the neck and he pulled me to the ground. Then he hit me in the stomach and he hit me in the face real hard and I think he almost broke my nose. But just then a lightning bolt came out of nowhere and struck him between the eyes and killed him instantly. Oh, you think that's funny? The cat came down from the tree, had a bowl of milk, went to sleep for the night. Railroad Bill is survived by a wife and 3 small children. Dear God, I love to write. It's all about control. So here's another song kind of about the control piece. This is a true story. As opposed to the last song, if you weren't sure, that was a made-up story. This is a story about a woman named Evie McDonald. It's a little bit intense. But it's a beautiful story. And it's a great lesson for all of us. Evie, in 1980, Evie was 33, and she was a nurse. She had a master's degree in nursing. She worked at she was just about to become the youngest person to become the administrator of a major medical center in the United States. And she got diagnosed with ALS. Now, because of her particular situation, it took a long time to get the diagnosis right. And by the time they figured out what it was she actually had, they told her the best she could hope for would be maybe 6 months. And Evie, well, being a nurse, you know, she knew this was fatal. And the rare occasions when it's not fatal, then it's Stephen Hawking, you know. So she was really angry for several days. Went home and just kind of raged about it. And then she had this thought, okay, this is it. I got 6 months left. That's what I got. Is there something I could do, in spite of what's happening? Is there something I could do to get the most out of this 6 months? Maybe somehow even make it a good 6 months. So that was what she asked herself. And this is a song about what she decided to do. Heavy had a body like a bowl of jello in a wheelchair. Heavy had a nerve disease, all she could do was sit there. Heavy was wasting away, muscles all in decay. She heard the doctor say 6 months to live. Now Evie'd always said she hated her body, she was overweight. And now a disease was making her thin, what a twist of fate. She was almost out of time, but somewhere in her mind there was something she had to find out if she could give. She said it's something called unconditional love, supposed to be really wonderful stuff. And if you can get enough, you can find peace. So in the time that I've got left, I've got to find some for myself. I believe unconditional love is what I need. Well, since all Evie could do was just sit in the wheelchair, Evie rolled it over and sat there in front of the mirror. She looked at her body and caught every negative thought. And though there were a lot, she wrote them all down. Every day Evie would sit there naked at the mirror and look, till she found one good thing about herself to write in her book. And after a few months' time, her thoughts began to grow kind, and the negative words in her mind could not be found. She said it feels like unconditional love, and it's really wonderful stuff. And if you can get enough, you can find peace. So in the time that I've got left, I've got to find some for myself. I believe unconditional love is what I need. But a funny thing happened when Evie started learning to love herself. The deterioration just stopped and then reversed itself. Evie was moving her arms and legs and starting to feel. Yes, a funny thing happened. Evie started to heal. She said it's something called unconditional love, and it's really wonderful stuff. And if you can get enough, you can find peace. So in the time that I've got left, I've got to find some for myself. I believe unconditional love is what I need. 'cause in the time that we've got left, we've got to find some for ourselves. I believe unconditional love is what we need. Thank you. If you don't know this story, I'm assuming probably most of you don't, Evie was the first person to ever recover from ALS. So it's 33 years later. She's still fine. She's still recovered, fully recovered. She actually left nursing about 20 years ago, went back to school, went to seminary, became a Methodist minister, had a small congregation in upstate New York, and then just like last year or the year before, just retired. And now she's living in Tucson and writing a book, finally. And, you know, as you can imagine, Evie's kind of an amazing person to be around. Because she really did transform her brain, the way that it worked. And by this practice of this mirror work and some forgiveness work that she did over a period of months. But the thing that she always talks about when she talks about this, which isn't that often, is that this healing, this physical healing that she had happen, wasn't what she was going for. She didn't think it was possible. She was a nurse. She thought she was going to die in 6 months. That was what she expected. All she was trying to do was, before she died, change her relationship with herself. If she could just get to a place of love and acceptance for who she was, without having to improve anything, that would be enough. That would be enough for this lifetime. So that's what she did. And then she said there was actually one particular day, when she wheeled into the mirror room, same body, still didn't work, but all that negative stuff in her mind was gone. All of a sudden, it was like she crossed a threshold, and she saw herself in a completely new way with this compassion and love for who she was, and even for her body, which was still serving her. And so she kept practicing, and then her body started to turn around. So obvious lessons for all of us. Really, really beautiful story about the power of thought, the power of transformation. And I know I don't have to tell you this. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but when you're in enough pain, when you've been through enough stuff, sometimes all you need is one powerful thought or story to turn you in the right direction, point you down the path where you need to go. And that's what this story did for me. I mean, I was in a very, very deep, dark place, and I didn't know if I could ever get out of it. And when I read the story of Evie, it was in a book by Bernie Siegel. The first time I heard it, I just thought, okay, well, that's where I have to go. And part of that is in my book, you know, my whole experience with that. Anyway, if it serves you, you know, you can take that and think about it. But let me just do another song about love. This is a song that started its life as a whiny victim love song. Back years ago when I was living in Nashville, I was working as a professional songwriter in Nashville, and I got together with a guy, a friend of mine named John Vesner, and John wanted to write a blues tune. He had an idea for a blues tune called So Much for Love. I've had enough. Can't do it anymore. It's too painful. No more love. So much for love. So we wrote it. And I always loved the melody for this song, but I never really resonated with the words. And at some point after that, I thought, you know, maybe I could rewrite this into a song that would actually be more meaningful. So I did that. And instead of So Much for Love, it's called So Much Love. So much love, Lord, there's enough. I'm overflowing from the brim of my cup. mystical feeling fills me up with so much love, so much hope, way down in my soul. Even when I was at the end of my rope, I found with love you can always cope. There's so much hope. I've heard it said time and again, love is all we need in the end. Now I can tell you, I know it's true. And if I can feel it, maybe so can you. So much love, Lord, there's always enough. I'm overflowed from the brim of my cup. So let's all be giving that real good stuff. Fill each other up with so much love. Well, thank you. You've been fantastic. I think I'll do one more and we'll. It's still light out. Don't you love summer? Just fantastic. Anyway, thanks again. Thanks again for coming. Occurs to me this wouldn't have been nearly as much fun without you here. Would have been a lot like practice, actually. So I appreciate it. I'll be in Lansing tomorrow night and Ann Arbor Sunday. If you have people over there, you want to send them over, that'd be great. I also do this for a lot of groups besides churches, a lot of corporate wellness events, national conferences. I got hired, was it last year or the year before, I got hired to do the national conference for the foot reflexologists. I think something like National Association of Foot Reflexologists, something like that. Anyway, they have a big convention every year, hundreds of them, and that's a partying bunch, let me tell you. They really know how to have fun. Anyway, they did something interesting. They asked me to do their final banquet, but they also asked me to write them a custom song, which I like doing. And they wanted me to write a song about going to see the reflexologist. So I wrote them this song called The Agony of Defeat. And they liked it. They liked it. They asked me to record it on a CD for them. No, they asked me to record it so they could put it on a CD and give it away to their attendees. But then they did something really cool. They had a 4-color CD jacket designed, and they had all their conference sponsors. They let all their conference sponsors put their logos on this CD of the song for free. And then at the end of the night, we sang that song. We all stood up and were dancing and singing the song together, and they circulated all these CDs throughout the whole audience, and they got to take them home. So what was cool, it was like a win-win-win-win. Everybody got something. Anyway, if you're part of some group or some organization, and you have a yearly conference or staff trainings or whatever, and you think I would be a good thing to inflict on them, I have propaganda for you. Pass along. So this last song is another song I won an award, and it's a kind of a science lesson, actually. but it's about being connected. It's about something that is actually going on in this room right now, has been going on since we got in here, and nobody's aware of it. Nobody's thinking about it. So, here we go. You breathe out, I breathe in. We're sharing molecules again. Oxygen and hydrogen, but do you know where your atoms have been? Parts of me were once in you. Genghis Khan and Gandhi too. Jesus Christ and dinosaurs. Princess Di and Dinah Shore. All these atoms everywhere circle back so we can share. No escaping, yes it's true. Parts of me were once in you. My whole body, smooth and hairy, is really very temporary. Every year a new epidermis. Maybe next year's will be firmer. There's some atom somewhere in Spain I could use back in my brain. They stay a while and then they leave, but they only fit what we can see. All these atoms here on earth get recycled, death to birth, like some ever-changing brew. Parts of me are now in you. As hard as it might seem to be, parts of you were once a tree, once a fish in the primal soup. Something's dinner, something's poop. 15 billion years ago, the Big Bang was quite a show. All this time, and now here we are. Parts of you were once a star. All these atoms we've collected only mean that we're connected. Since we share what we're made of, don't you think that calls for love? So take a deep breath, share some atoms. It's not like you have any choice. And we'll all be part of the Addams family. Okay, I tell you what, before we leave, I want you to do one little thing for me. I want you to turn and look at the person you came with. And if you didn't come with anybody, just turn and look at somebody. Go ahead. Just turn and look at them. And just think to yourself, go on, look at them. Just think to yourself, what a lovely bunch of atoms. You know, some of those look like they used to be mine. I hope you're enjoying them. Hope you're taking care of them. these two Adams walking down the street. The first Adam saw the second one. He said, "Hey, what's the matter? You look a little down." The second Adam said, "Yeah, I lost an electron." The first Adam said, "Oh, man, I'm sorry. Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, I'm positive." And I'm positive I had a lot of fun tonight. I really, really appreciate you coming, and thank you for being a great audience. I'll be up here as long as anybody wants to talk or get something signed or share a hug, whatever. So hope I get to come see you again. Thank you.